All right, good morning. This is Surfer Ray, NorCal Bees, and got a lot of questions about whatever happened to this, which is my wine barrel hive. And I actually started this a couple years ago. Last year I ran it as just a single section down here, and it filled out nicely and did really good. And then this year, starting in I think it was like January, mid-January, I added on the second super, you could call it, and I haven't really been in it since, but the bees have been booming, so I know that it's probably pretty packed and lots of swarms going on. So we're gonna go in there and give it an inspection and see what's going on with it. So this lid fit the bottom section, and so I had to make a new temporary lid out of plywood because it's gonna get one more section. We got this section here and the lid to add on. So we will be adding that on shortly, I'm sure. All right, let's crack this puppy open and see what we see. Well, they've been busy making a bunch of drone brood on the ceiling. We'll have to scrape that off. So the way this is designed is I got a medium Langstrom Super in the middle. The front and back are closed off. These sides right here I have a top bar framed underneath. So I don't really see like they've done much on this side here though. It looks like they've just been working the top bar. I mean the Langstrom frames. So I can see one problem is I have too much space above these top bars right here. I mean above the Langstrom bars. So we'll have to modify something there. They definitely have all these drawn out with honey. See if they've drawn any of the top bar frames off. Oh, they're just starting to draw that one. So I think one of the things I should do is I should cut a hole in this box, which is the super, so the bees can access this more freely, because they're not really identifying this as part of the hive. Even though they can get it from down below, they're not really accessing it. So that's another modification I'll do. I'll drill a few holes into this super here, and in that way they'll be able to pass freely, because these frames are packed. I can see that. And what I could do is I could stick a grain bag on top to help it keep it from sticking to the lid. Okay, this side they're working on more. So they're definitely starting to draw that out. The ones down below, I actually stuck made individual top bar hives. If you zoom down in there, you can see that they have individual top bar like frames. And on this one I decided just to add right to the top of the plywood. Alright, so my main concern today is to make sure there's no swarm cells in here. They definitely have this upper box completely laid up. They're definitely ready to be supered up. Not seeing any swarm cells, so that's making me happy. Means I got a little bit of time, because hives are popping off like crazy now. A lot of hives are swarm. Up, spoke too soon. There's the swarm cell right there. So, yep. That means they're getting ready. All right, we're into the bottom super, and you can see these top bar frames actually work pretty perfectly. They definitely drew them out and filled them up. There you go. So yeah, this is a big success. They drew out all the frames, you know, obviously in the Langstrom box, and then they drew out all the frames in the top bar box, and so it's definitely the design works. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not too excited that we found swarm cells and this hive's gonna swarm. Trying to find a queen in all this is gonna be kind of a nightmare. But we're gonna look for her anyway since we got her open. All right, thanks for checking in. All right, so the bottom box is built a little bit different. It doesn't actually have a super in it. It just has the Langstrom's frames in the middle, and then it has the top bar frames on the outside. So the fact that they didn't have a box to go around or go through, and you know, obviously this has been on there a lot longer, they had filled all these top bar frames completely full. And so what I did on this one, this is how this one's set up, is I drilled a couple big holes in here so the bees would be able to transition to the top bar frames easier. So we're getting ready to put it all back. All right, Surfer Ray here, and we had a super successful morning. I'm very excited. The wine barrel hive worked just perfectly. There was a couple of little modifications I made. I added a grain bag to help eliminate all this brood comb that's on top of the frames. And as I showed you earlier in the video, in this upper super, which has actually Langstrom medium super in it, we drilled a couple holes on both ends to allow the bees to go to and fro where the top bars are. There was some swarm cells in there, and there was so many bees. This thing would have kicked out an 8-pound swarm, no doubt. But luckily we found the queen. We used the shaker box, and we had to shake all the bees, and the very last, you know, last frame we went through, there she was. And so what we did was we put in about 4 or 5 pounds of bees in here, no brood. We kind of want to simulate a swarm here, so this is like a swarm, 4 or 5 pounds of bees. We got the queen, we marked her. I'm actually going to make her one of my breeding queens, because through this whole tearing apart of this hive, no stings. These bees were super mellow, tons of nice brood, and so we're going to use her as one of our breeding queens. And so now we're going to pop her loose. You got to be careful when they're in pre-swarm mode, because they can fly. They chase her around and make her feed her less. And she actually did start to fly away, and I grabbed her in the air. So we kind of got lucky there. And yep, she's gone now, down into the hive. So Surfer Ray, NorCal Bees, and this is the second video on the wine barrel hive. Thanks for watching.